Pixar's latest release received a lot of hate across the board, so much so that Disney even had to run damage control on it. It was denied a theatrical release and instead put on their streaming service Disney+. Lots of people have addressed Turning Red's relatability issue. In this video, I'll explain what relatability actually means, why the movie's metaphor isn't actually one, and why the story fails its stated theme. Hi, I'm Pat, and today I'm gonna take a look at the controversies surrounding Pixar's latest movie, Turning Red. Let's tackle the relatability issue first. The protagonist, Mei Lin, is a 13-year-old Chinese-Canadian daughter of immigrants who lives in Toronto with one overbearing parent. She also has a close-knit group of friends and the supernatural ability to shapeshift into a red panda. The shapeshifting/transforming, whatever you want to call it, felt mostly like a gimmick to attract a younger audience, rather than a metaphor. I was instantly reminded of Ranma Half, which Domi Shi cited as a source of inspiration, together with Fruits Basket, another popular shapeshifting anime. Term relatability is thrown around a lot when it comes to stories, be it books, movies, TV shows, or what have you. Yet, the majority of people don't know the actual definition. We as individuals relate to other people to varying degrees. As a general rule, the more universally relatable something is, the broader its appeal. Turning Red's overall relatability is so low because you need to tick so many boxes. Culturally East Asian, living in North America, child of immigrants, female, being a teenager in the early 2000s, a helicopter parent, parental pressure, restricted freedom.
No, absolutely not.
While the last 2 points are universally relatable, the problem with them is that they are broad spectrums rather than specific characteristics. Parents can exert pressure or restrict their child's freedom in many different ways, but the movie depicts a stereotypically Asian style of parenting dubbed tiger parenting, which again is tied to a specific cultural background. Though the last 2 points are less about ticking boxes and more about where you find yourself on the chart in comparison to Mei Lin. And yes, relatability literally means ticking boxes to compare. Here's the definition of relatability by the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. Possible to understand, like, or have sympathy for because of similarities to oneself or one's own experiences. If you still disagree with the definition, chances are you might be confusing relatability with empathy. Empathy is the action of understanding, being aware of, being sensitive to, and vicariously experiencing the feelings, thoughts, and experiences of another of either the past or present without having the feelings, thoughts, and/or experiences. In other words, the more boxes you tick, the more relatable someone is to you. For empathy, no boxes are needed, but empathy introduces a whole nother set of problems. But let's finish up the relatability issue first. Is Mei Lin unrelatable? No, but the character is specifically relatable to a small and particular demographic. A checklist is not something you desire in a protagonist when attempting to appeal to a broader audience. To circumvent said problems, storytellers might use universally non-relatable characters such as sentient toys, robots, sentient cars, monsters, sea monsters, elves, and so on. Or they give their characters peculiar traits to make them more unique and distinguishable from other characters and the audience.
It's just extremely rare. They call it divergent.
Mei Lin is neither, not universally unrelatable, nor particular enough to stand out before her panda transformation. The opposite in fact is true. She's the dullest Asian stereotype one can imagine.
Put it per usual. Check it out.
Oh, that's my little scholar. Today, honor student. Tomorrow, UN Secretary General.
You doctor yet?
No, Dad, I'm 12.
Talk to me when you doctor.
Which again appeals mostly to a particular demographic of people, not necessarily exclusively, but most likely. That's it for relatability. Let's focus on the other side of appeal, empathy. In order to empathize with the character, all one needs is to be empathetic towards her situation. I personally though, do not empathize with Mei Lin. Humans empathize mostly with someone else's misery, suffering or hardship.
I came back home, broken windows and doors. Then I found Lego pieces all over the garden and the terrace. I really enjoyed Legos. There was a brand new Mac computer, they didn't install it. And my creation was here, gone, totally destroyed. 14 years of collection, but now, even with lots of money, I can't rebuild that.
The most empathy-worthy trait Mei Lin has is the strained relationship with her mother. The movie manipulates the viewer on several occasions to empathize with her through embarrassment, which just fails for me on a personal level because the situations are too specific and unrealistic. There's one scene in particular I despise, where they treat Mei Lin like a disease-ridden harbinger of death for no apparent reason. That's because the movie tries to tug on your heartstrings with sad imagery rather than creating an actual sad situation. If you look at the bigger picture, Mei Lin has an overall pleasant life. She lives in a great environment, has, although overbearing, a supportive family, caring relatives, close friends, and an awesome shapeshifting ability. There's little to nothing to feel sad about. At worst, her situation is sometimes a bit inconvenient and mildly annoying. Mei Lin's biggest struggle is going to a concert. Other, more important issues like her actual relationship with her mother's relationship with her mother, are mostly glossed over and banished to the end, where the issue is resolved within seconds. But let me pause here for now. I'll get back to that in a bit. At first glance, turning into a panda seems to be a metaphor, but as the movie progresses, it becomes less and less clear what it's supposed to represent. At least I hope so. One could see it as a metaphor for a girl getting her period, which in many cultures is widely and falsely perceived as a girl becoming a woman. The fact is, though, that it's never explicitly confirmed. As far as we know, it's only her mother's false assumption regarding her odd behavior. But if you do choose to see it that way,
This is our first step into womanhood.
then you can't unsee that she trades her metaphorical grown-up body for money. I'm not insinuating anything, just putting it out there, make of it what you will. For me, the metaphor loses all meaning when she turns it on and off at will, like a switch. Pretty sure that's not how periods, emotions, or womanhood in general work. A metaphor depicts something specific, like in the case of the beast's hideous appearance from The Beauty and the Beast. It's a visible representation of his ugly, invisible character.
Although he had everything his heart desired, the prince was spoiled, selfish, and unkind.
And once he learns humility and becomes a better person, Belle is able to fall in love with him, which in turn breaks the curse. Mingzilla is the only one who has an actual problem in the family, which brings us to Lost in the Themes. Turning Red's story is bad, and it's not because I think so, it's because in the original concept, their panda sizes were tied to their level of anger. When we get angry, we turn red. That's why Ming is so gigantic at the end of the movie, not because she just is, but because she was that angry at Mei Lin. There was probably a completely different end and story in mind, as the grandmother's scar hints at it, but the movie never really explores the relationship, so we don't really know.
I hurt her.
Because the original concept was scrapped, we're stuck with the Turk battle and the bamboo forest walk, the one true answer to speedrunning generational trauma. A story usually takes you from point A to point B, but Turning Red circles around point A. Nothing significantly changes. In the beginning, Mei Lin has a good relationship with her mother. And throughout the movie, whenever her mother interferes in her life, they avoid dealing with the situation at hand. Whenever tensions rise and the conflict is about to peak, often panda-related things are used as a cop-out to divert the uncomfortable situation that is about to unfold.
I'm not your little Mei anymore!
I'm changing, Mom. I'm scared it'll take me away from you.
So don't hold back for anyone.
In the end, they fix their relationship to how it has always been, exceptionally good. Also on one occasion, Mei Lin throws her friends under the bus,
May, you threw us under the bus.
and the next time she sees them, it's water under the bridge. From my perspective, the movie portrays interpersonal relationships unrealistically. Another movie that came to mind with a similar theme is The Mitchells vs. the Machines. If you haven't seen it, you might not really get the following comparisons, but it's a decent movie and you ought to watch it if you like animated movies. Basically, the story is about Katie and her dad being estranged and they reconcile their relationship during a machine uprising. But whatever kind of situations they face, the occurring events are secondary and support the main story by showing facets of their strained relationship.
The world needs you. I need you.
You and Dad being friends again.
Oh, I was just telling him what he wants to hear. I didn't mean to order that.
Back at that dinosaur place, you said you believed in me.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Again.
Please, no, don't watch it. Oh, I was just telling him what he wants to hear. I didn't mean to order that.
The events highlight the cracks in the relationship and give an insight into what the characters think and feel, or how their behavior contributed to the problems in the first place, while also giving them new and different perspectives on their relationship.
I know this is hard for you.
Nah. It's easy.
Oh, man. I love you, Sarge. But now that I'm leaving, I just need some backup. And when I look for you, you're not there.
Katie's and her dad's relationship is always the focal point, whereas Mei Lin's and Ming's is a background element. The movie straight up refuses to deal with anything. From a purely narrative perspective, when comparing Mitchells vs. the Machines to Turning Red, as soon as the theme is stated in the former, reconciling an estranged relationship, it's always present. There are B-plots involving other characters, but they never distract from the main topic, involving the main characters. Turning Red is a complete mess in that regard. First, it starts with Mei Lin's personal growth.
I know what it looks like. I am my own person.
Then it moves on to parental expectations. Then it has first love elements. Then it moves on to the overbearing parent. Then it introduces the panda transformation, completely derailing the story from its original theme.
And what was a blessing became an inconvenience.
Then for a good portion of the movie it becomes Detroit Rock City.
Quit jinxing us, man. Nobody's missing that concert tomorrow night.
Then it briefly tangents the topic of friends versus family. Then it circles back to fulfilling family expectations. Then back to personal growth. Then to her mother's trauma, instant resolution of all conflicts, all's good, and the movie ends. The themes are all over the place. The movie does not know what its theme is and therefore fails to form a clear narrative. Yes, it's coming of age, growing pains, but that's not a specific struggle. It's an umbrella term for various issues over a long period of time. And by putting everything in there at once, you end up with a movie regarding nothing in particular. Final thoughts. First of all, the movie is fine okay. Objectively, it's not good, because the story is all over the place, has low relatability, and the mother has more character development than the protagonist herself. If it appeals to you, that's great. The animation is superb, it's Pixar after all. The art style is divisive. I didn't particularly like or dislike it. I give the movie a 4 out of 10 simply because the movie has okay ideas, but they are suboptimally executed, badly implemented, or half-heartedly resolved. I checked out various reviews, and while I don't give other people's reviews much gravitas, the majority agreed. A handful of people loved it, the majority of people thought it was okay, and a handful of people loathed it with a passion. Nothing new under the sun. That's it for this video. Please share your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, try another one. And if you'd like to see more, subscribe to the channel. And as always, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again.